Another very big mistake that severely damages your commitment balance is showing jealousy. When you are in a happy relationship and everything is balanced feeling-wise, you can definitely afford stay committed. On the other hand, if this crisis is already on the verge of a breakup, or you simply see that this balance of feelings is already upset, then showing jealousy will work against you and will push your partner even further away from you. Therefore, even if you feel inner jealousy, you are afraid that your partner will cheat on you, it is nevertheless definitely better to deal with it yourself. When you are in a happy relationship and everything is balanced feeling-wise, you can definitely afford stay committed. If this feeling of jealousy is clearly factual, I will tell you much more about this later in this course. On the other hand, still the guiding principle is not to shift your anxiety and jealousy to your partner, but to deal with it yourself. And this is very important, because if you start to fix this relationship and then jealousy appears, well, that will be a big step backwards and you can mess up a lot with it. Therefore, this is a really important topic. So, to summarize the 3 worst mistakes that you should definitely avoid so that you don't further spoil this balance of commitment. The first thing is resentment about lack of interest, lack of time, lack of love. All resentment and negativity should be eliminated right away. The second thing is taking offense. The third thing is jealousy. All these things absolutely have to be eliminated to 0. I know that this requires a lot of willpower. It is not always easy. Sometimes emotions take over, and we are not able to predict how we ourselves will behave. On the other hand, if you have already made a mistake like this, showing how jealous you are or attacking with some kind of resentment, it is worthwhile to reframe it later. Show that, basically, it was a one-time emotional outburst, and there's really nothing to talk about, and you even apologize for throwing in some such remark. Now let's see an example. Let's say a woman is talking to her husband and finds out that her husband has recently been talking to his female friend, of whom she is clearly jealous. He mentioned in the conversation that they had some contact, and the wife couldn't stand it and threw in some such completely unnecessary comment along the lines of, "Well, yes, you are in contact with this flirt all the time, congratulations." After which she left the room and slammed the door. She made a big mistake, because that's how she breaks the balance of commitment, and it's very poor, especially in a situation where her partner had already been pushed away. Such situations do happen. Sometimes you can't control your emotions. On the other hand, what to do when something like this has already happened? Once your emotions have subsided, you have calmed down and are able to talk to your partner again, then simply apologize for what happened. You can say, "Honey, I'm sorry I reacted so dramatically. I don't know what got up inside me. Take no notice of such antics of mine. I think my period is coming." The most important thing is to show that you yourself recognize that it was a mistake and that you will not repeat it again. At least in this logical respect, you fix the situation. In a moment, I will talk about such proactive measures that are worth implementing in your relationship to fix this broken balance of commitment between you and your partner. On the other hand, I already warn you that this may seem a bit controversial at first glance. That's why I encourage you to listen to this entire message to the end, because when I explain everything, this controversy will be much less. After all, you are actually acting for your relationship, so in practice you are doing your partner a huge favor. At first, it may seem a little artificial, a little untrue, but in the end, it will definitely work out for you. One of the most important rules that you should implement from the very beginning to overcome this crisis and fix this broken balance of feelings and commitment between you is the principle of living your own life. This means that in addition to what's going on in your relationship, you must also have your life, your interests, your plan for spending your free time, your friends, your acquaintances. Also, those who are exclusively your friends or who only you hang out with, because you need to show your partner that you are a separate, independent entity. Even when he is gone, you still live your life and manage perfectly well. You're not dependent on your partner, you're not hanging over his head, you're just doing perfectly fine with what you have. At this point, we separate this living your own life into 2 categories. The first category is the things you do in your free time, without your partner. And the second category is the people you hang out with. Let's start first with those things you do. If up to now you haven't had any major interests, no hobbies, and have simply devoted yourself to the max to work, taking care of the house, the kids, or maybe just your partner, then the moment the relationship starts to break down, you don't know what to do with yourself because your partner doesn't want to spend as much time with you anymore. It's then worth considering what to do when that partner isn't there in such a way that he doesn't feel pressure on himself and that he sees that you are perfectly capable of taking care of yourself and he doesn't have that burden on him. It's best to bring it to a point where he feels that sometimes he has to compete for your time with some other things. It could be a sport you play, some outing of yours, even a book or anything else. It's important that it's not sitting on your phone or playing computer games all the time, because that's just not very attractive or developing. It's important to plan yourself some developing activity, or at least one that you enjoy and that will show your partner that you have a lifestyle of your own. This is one of the attractiveness factors that counts towards whether or not you are attractive to your partner. It's a good idea to make a plan for yourself and think about the fact that when you have total free time just for yourself and your partner is not next to you at the moment, how can you spend that time? Is it perhaps going out with friends, going to the gym, doing a sport, even one that you can do alone, like running, or even talking on the phone with some friends? These things, of course, can be a lot, while the important thing is to really find an activity that you enjoy and that you don't focus on your partner. Because if your partner feels that you are just waiting for him to just have a minute of free time of his own, you will immediately come running and want to spend time with him. It will be overwhelming for him in the long run. It is for this reason that you will not be attractive to your partner. On the other hand, if he sees that you, by yourself, have an interesting life next to him, and of course you are repeatedly available during the day to spend that time with him, but not always, because sometimes he has to compete a bit for your time, then your attraction will increase dramatically. So, taking care of that is very important. So, think about these things. What would you like to do? What is your plan? Are you really busy? Or is it perhaps worth implementing some changes here already? If you think you have such an interesting life, you have so many interesting options around you that in this respect there is nothing to worry about, then congratulations. On the other hand, if this is not the case, then it is definitely worth planning something. On the other hand, the second thing is to show your partner that there are some other people in your life besides him. And here I completely exclude such deliberate arousal of jealousy in your partner, because this is a very bad idea at the moment when you are in a relationship. Arousing jealousy is very effective, especially when your partner also already has something on the side. But this is only when you have already separated, when your partner said, he doesn't want to be with you anymore. Then arousing jealousy by communicating it in the right way can change everything 180 degrees so that your partner runs after you. On the other hand, as long as you are in a relationship, it can unfortunately be a blow below the belt. It can build up a great deal of hostility and may even be the cause of a breakup. Therefore, don't try to stir up jealousy in your partner as long as you are together. This is such an emergency exit at a time when it is long overdue for a breakup. On the other hand, this should be avoided very strongly, especially with this topic, where you need to show your partner that you have some friends besides him. It is then good to communicate that he does not have to be absolutely afraid of a third person appearing in our lives. Of course, your imagination may tell him something on its own. What are you doing there? Why are you coming back so late? Are you sure you are with your friends? Didn't you meet someone else? This will be positive. However, such a thing must come out only from your partner's subconscious, where he may suddenly feel that something may be going on around you, that he may lose you. But you should never specifically arouse such thoughts in him. If it comes out on occasion, that's very good. You don't worry about it. On the contrary, every time your partner asks you about it, where you were, what you were doing, then you even need to reassure him truthfully. I do not recommend getting involved in any new relationships while you are still in your relationship. Assure your partner that nothing of the sort is going on, that you always spend time mainly with friends of the same sex. If you're a woman, say you've been with female friends. If you're a man, say you hung out with your male friends. You can't say you went out with a female colleague to an evening party. That would be something wrong. This could arouse a lot of hostility, and of course negative jealousy would also arise. On the other hand, this hostility could be impossible to make up, and the relationship between you could only deteriorate. Therefore, such situations should definitely be avoided. However, it is also really worth approaching it on such a strategic basis. Show your partner that you don't sit at home all the time, that you don't rely solely on him. Even if you don't have friends, it's worth taking care of that. What do I mean specifically? If your social life has really died down, as it sometimes does, all you need to do is to start hanging out with your friends more often. At least once a week you will go out somewhere in the evening and your partner will see it, that something is happening in your life. Sometimes it's even a good idea to come back late at night to show that there just might be something disturbing going on there, and to make your partner think more about what you're doing. Of course, assure your partner that nothing is going on, but your partner's imagination will most likely work anyway and do its own thing. This can be a very positive influence on your partner. On the other hand, if you don't actually have these friends, this is an excellent time to renew your old acquaintances. Get back in touch with people you haven't been in touch with for a long time, with whom you used to get along very well. Make an appointment for some coffee or for some dinner. You can also just go out on your own. Your partner, especially when things are already bad between you, doesn't need to ask impatiently or know at all whether you are going out with someone else or alone. You can go out to the gym, you can go to the pool by yourself, go for some shopping, all such things you can actually safely do by yourself. The important thing is not to sit at home all the time, but to show that something is happening in your life after all. Because if your partner sees that absolutely nothing is going on, it will just be unattractive and will be a large missing piece of the puzzle. So really take the advice from this video seriously to heart, because it's going to be hard without this piece. Sometimes it's a difficult element to fill, especially in those who have gone abroad, are in a completely new country, have cut themselves off completely from their previous environment. It is completely natural for them not to have too many friends there. Well, then what? Then their relationship suffers and suddenly breaks down further. If you manage to show that you have your own life, that you are such an independent person, that you have your friends with whom you can go out on the town and come back late, then your partner sees that for the first time in a long time you are not with him. He can't sleep. He wonders, where are you? Maybe you are cheating on him right now. Of course, you assure him that you are with friends of the same sex, at some ladies' or men's night out and playing some poker or watching TV series or whatever. When you get home, there's this note of uncertainty about what's going on with you. There's time to think about what's going on with your relationship. Sometimes one evening like this makes that dynamic change, that by the second day you can see that your partner is more interested. He feels that he may lose you at some point, that you are not there at arm's length as you have always been. Arranging an outing like this once a fortnight, where you come back late at night, where your partner's imagination can work itself out a bit, can be a very good option. Another element to pay attention to is to consider whether you are breaking the balance of commitment by all sorts of phrases to your partner that show that you have some kind of feeling for him all the time, which much more often come from you. It could even be saying, baby, sweetheart, darling, at a time when your partner doesn't do that and rather speaks to you by name. If this is the case, then you should also start calling him by his first name or speak to him impersonally so that he doesn't immediately realize that suddenly something big has changed. That is, instead of, honey, do you want coffee? Ask your partner, do you want coffee? Another thing is to send messages with kisses or hearts. If you see that your partner doesn't send such things, then you don't send either. If you are the one who writes, good morning, good night, I love you, or something like that, and your partner doesn't do it, then you stop doing it too. You don't need it for anything. It doesn't improve the quality of the relationship. On the contrary, it works against you. The same goes for confessions of love. If your partner tells you that he loves you far less often than you tell him, then stop saying it too. You don't need it for now. The moment things are definitely better, when you see that your partner cares much more about you again, then you can go back to it, although it's better to wait until he first comes up with such an initiative after the break. On the other hand, if it is weak now, there is a broken balance to your disadvantage, then definitely refrain from it. Similarly, this applies to compliments. Of course, women like to hear compliments from a guy. On the other hand, if you yourself do not hear such compliments and there is a broken balance of commitment between you already, then these compliments will only make things worse. In a nutshell, eliminate all those things with which you overcompensate your partner and with which you cozy up. Let the message be more neutral, the same as your partner gives toward you. Of course, do it in a nice, polite, kind way, but still without those signs showing that you care a lot. If you ask, do you still love me? Then you are showing that you also love, because if you wanted to part, you would rather not ask such questions. You are just trying to find some reassurances that all the time is good between you, that all the time there is still some feeling there, So avoid such questions. Sometimes there are many such details that need to be eliminated in order to strive for that perfection, to fix that balance of commitment between you. Of course, when your relationship is healthy, everything is good, then you can do such things. You can say all those nice tender words even if your partner doesn't give it to you in the same amount. But when things are clearly bad, there's a crisis between you, your partner is withdrawn. It's definitely better to cut such things off too, at least for the moment of that crisis, and only come back to it when things are a little better. Another thing is to focus on physical touch and all your physicality in general. Think about whether you happen to be the one initiating all kinds of touch between you and your partner too often. Whether it's grabbing hands, hugging, kisses, stroking, even sex. If it definitely comes out more often on your part, make sure you don't initiate it too often. Think about it. Aren't you by chance always the one who grabs your partner's hand when you go somewhere side by side for a walk? Aren't you always the one who comes up and hugs, who gives kisses, who moves closer when you sit next to each other on the sofa? These are the little things that you may not have been fully aware of. It's worth taking a little closer look from this point on and thinking about whether you're giving too much of yourself. If you're giving too much, that's also another piece of the puzzle that unfortunately needs to be worked out. To show your partner that you've suddenly started to pull away and it's your partner who is about to lose you, then you will give space to your partner and he will be able to follow you. If you are next to him all the time, constantly hugging him, stroking him, touching him and so on, you show him how much you love him. Unfortunately, the moment he is already pushed away, it will even work negatively and break that balance of commitment between you even more. If you pull away and show that you no longer need sex as often as before, no longer initiate it, no longer need cuddling as often, you will surprise your partner with this behavior. You can turn it up with such a behavior that walking next to you, your partner grabs your hand, and you reach into your pocket for your phone on some pretext, check something there and hide the phone. You continue walking next to your partner, but you no longer grab his hand, but he has to grab you again. The partner will not be fully aware of this, but his subconscious will register that something is wrong. Until recently, you didn't behave like this, and here suddenly you don't care as much as before. It is because of this that this space will appear. There will be this fear that your partner is about to lose you, and thus your attraction will grow. His motivation to stop, to look at the relationship, what he may be doing wrong, will be much greater than in a situation where he has everything under control because he still sees that you care about him very much. So, this is another such way to shake your partner a bit and tell him, get a grip, because something is wrong. Because if nothing changes, you could lose me right away. Another important element to take care of is to show your partner that you are not at arm's length all the time. It's often the case that when you feel that your partner could leave you at any moment, that you could lose this relationship that you care so much about, any initiative on your partner's part involves a great deal of enthusiasm on your part. When you are dating and some proposal from your partner's side comes out, you always say in such a way, "Yes, sure, I'm putting aside all my plans to spend time with you." You are always on time. You always answer the phone, no matter how busy you are. You always write back messages immediately, and so on. So, if your partner sees interest in this regard, that too may be something to work on. It's good to do it naturally, that is, the moment you are actually busy, then don't drop everything and write back to your partner. If you don't want to do something, you don't always have to agree to your partner's suggestions, even to meet your partner. You should show him that sometimes you may not have time for him, that there are some more important things in your life than meeting with him. Of course, it doesn't always have to be all no. It's a good idea to find some healthy balance and just once in a while don't answer, don't write back right away, don't agree to a meeting, even be late for a meeting. Sometimes it may even be done on purpose. If it's once in a while, it shouldn't build any great hostility. You should also always do in the most cultured and polite way possible. On the other hand, however, despite everything, your partner must have this sense that you are not at arm's length, that you are not under any kind of control. On the one hand, you are nice, polite, you don't take offense. But on the other hand, sometimes he has to fight a bit for your attention, for your time. Of course, he has to tell you much more in advance to get you to agree, and he doesn't call you 5 minutes before his proposal saying, "Come to my place." A partner usually does this because he knows that you will drop everything and come immediately, whatever you do. So, especially in such situations, it's worth saying, "No, I'm doing something else." Next time, let me know a little earlier. Then I'll be happy to. But right now, I have other plans. This is another element that is really worth putting into practice. Sometimes your intuition may tell you the opposite, that since your partner suddenly, after such a long time, finally starts to show some interest, it is imperative to reward him for it and show that you are there. Unfortunately, here lurks the trap of doing the opposite. You started to implement things and see that it is better, but when you show that you are on hand again, it will only get worse. Therefore, remember this tip. Have it somewhere always in the back of your mind, and be sure to implement it. I invite you to the next section. If you liked the material, leave a like and send it to a friend or someone close to you who may benefit from this knowledge. If you want to support our work and help us create more valuable videos, there is a link in the description.